Hello everybody! So in this video I'm going to be talking to you about B cells, and we know that B cells are part of our immune system, and I'm sure that some of you think that B cells are called B cells because they are made in the bone marrow, and I wouldn't blame you, that makes a lot of sense. But weirdly, the reason they're called B cells is because the first place they were ever discovered was a place called the bursa of Fabricus, and the bursa is this odd little organ that's only found in birds. So that's what the B stands for in B cell. That is a useless fact that you will never need, but I thought I would tell it to you anyway. So let's think about the function of B cells. So let's imagine that we've got a little pathogen, and that pathogen is picked up, phagocytosed by a phagocyte, and it is processed, and the antigens from the surface of the pathogen get displayed on the surface of the phagocyte. A roaming B cell comes along, and if that B cell happens to have antigens on its surface that are complementary to the shape of the antigens of the pathogen, they will bind. Once the complementary antigen has bound on, this sensitizes the B cell. It needs to be activated by its corresponding activated helper T cell. So also floating about, there are helper T cells that have previously been activated and therefore have the same foreign antigen bound onto their surface. So let's just have a look at those for a second. So the binding of the B cell to the foreign antigen and the subsequent activation by the helper T cell triggers that B cell to undergo clonal selection. It clones repeatedly by mitosis, producing many genetically identical B cells. And it differentiates to become two different types of cells: plasma B cells that produce and secrete antibodies, and we'll talk about antibodies a little bit later, and memory cells. Memory cells circulate in the blood and tissue fluid, and their job is to wait and respond to any future infection by the same pathogen. And if you do get a future infection by the same pathogen, they will very rapidly divide and develop into plasma cells to start secreting antibodies. This is called your secondary immune response. Okay, so that's a good basic introduction to B cells and plasma B cells, and how there are many, many different types of B cells roaming around in your bloodstream, each with different shaped receptors on their surface. And when the one with the correct shaped receptor or antigen on their surface binds onto the foreign antigen, this then triggers your humoral immune response, i.e. the production of antibodies. So the next thing you're going to learn about is antibodies, but we'll leave B cells there for now. Well done, and I'll speak to you soon.